Hey, everybody, Michelle is back. February 10th, 2026 on a Tuesday. This is going to be part 3, I think, of collectiveness. I guess that's what I'll call it. Collectiveness. So what I wanted to kind of stress, so important, and that's where people are missing the point. Because I said this to someone once, some time ago. You can't be too this or too that. In other words, say for example, that we're so stuck, and that's literally. So we get ourselves stuck on things, and that's why I said it's so important that you're not ruminating, because rumination will cause you to be stuck. Okay, whereas there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to get yourself off the rinse and repeat, because you're ruminating, overthinking, and you're not opening yourself up to what else could be going on outside of your world, which literally, figuratively, and metaphorically, we are, we are already considered a blue, a stale blue dot, right? Or a plain blue dot. What is that term? Faded blue dot. Oh, pale. I think it's pale. I think Carl Sagan mentioned that we are we're just a barely visible in the face of the universe, a pale blue dot. And if anybody, takes a look at that, and I say, do you find us? I mean, it's obvious, they made it a bit clear to where we are and all of that. That ought to snap you, it might frighten some people. Because if that's the size, if our planet Earth is that size compared to just a fraction of what our so-called technology can see, imagine how massive we are. We might as well consider ourselves even less than a piece of lint. Okay, how you can look at, if you have a certain light, and the sun is shining, and you kind of flash, look around as the sun is shining through your window, you can see these dust particles. Like now I'm sitting here and I don't see the dust particles, but if I have a certain particular type of light or some way of capturing my environment, there's probably millions of particles of dust, maybe billions. If that doesn't snap you out of it, I don't know what will. To consider, where we fit in this galaxy, in this world, in this universe, but yet we think, and we have these criminal negative energy forces in politics and religion, more specifically, who believe they are bigger than that. They believe that they are better than this pale blue dot that we are in the face of the universe, in the face of the galaxy, in the face of the cosmos. We don't understand the factors of that. We are barely, individual. We are barely a piece of dust compared to the cosmos, the universe, whatever we're explaining that. But nonetheless, we are just as important as well, because we are creational energy. We were created for a reason, and the reason is to evolve our consciousness via universal love, peace, harmony, abundance, proper intimacy, proper abundance, more so wisdom and truth. Peace, love, freedom, harmony, proper abundance, proper intimacy, wisdom, and truth, and other factors and virtues, what is more beautiful than universal love? Universal love means everybody is inclusive. But yet we're attempting with this blue dot here called Earth to separate ourselves from the magnitude of what is there, and want to claim ownership that we're better. How illogical. That's why we are spinning ourselves literally, figuratively, and metaphorically out of the range of the catastrophes we can cause other small blue dots. They may not be blue. They may be small white dots, might be small green dots of other humanities that are existing in peace. They're doing everything in their power to to separate themselves from our planet. And that's literally whether you want to accept it or not. Because even a small speck of dust can be harmful. I mean, it can get into someone's lungs and then have a negative effect and become an infection. I mean, anything can happen. But I said we're important because we are just as important as every other speck of dust throughout this universe. But we are wanting to be better than that. It's illogical. But anyway, the collectiveness. Okay, let me just again say to the people that are operating in the criminal negative energy, and there's some specifically know that they are, because that's what their lineage has been a part of. Their lineage has always been a part of the criminal negative energy forces. And ironically, that criminal negative energy, the force of it, can show up again and again in certain ancestries as well. And so apparently this is what's happening. That criminal negative energy is just continually, or at least this time around, showing up in the same ancestry. And there are particular people in that ancestry or that were attempting to sound the alarm about that. They know their family history. They know their ancestral history. And they always thought it was the uncle. They usually call these people that were operating in this criminal negative energy an uncle. They like to give it the title of uncle, but usually in some cases it was the father. It's the so-called patriarch of the family that was discontinuing this cycle of rinse and repeat of criminal negative energy. But again, as we reach a culmination point in our development, something has to give. And that means that you just cannot believe that you can hold on to that criminal negative energy without there being consequences, any more than there be consequences with the positive energy, the neutral positive energy. Okay? The fortifying of this criminal negative energy that we have encased around this planet eventually will have to what? What happens to energy? Is energy infinite or finite? Energy is, let's just see what our smart little technology says here. Okay, infinite energy refers to the concept of having an unlimited supply of energy that never runs out. Now, is that true? It's true that certain forms of energy never runs out. But that doesn't mean that the energy doesn't transform. Right? Am I understanding this correctly? It says, in reality, according to the law of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed or transferred. That is extremely, extremely important to consider, contemplate, and just sit and meditate on. I know the criminal negative energy will not do it, but at least those of you that are collective, that are associated with the collectiveness, you're going to understand it. So that'll keep you out of the rinse and repeat cycles. Okay, just understand that. Again, it says here, based on, artificial intelligence, okay, based on artificial intelligence, it says infinite energy refers to a concept where a source of energy is limitless and can provide an unending supply. Is that true? This idea is often associated with constructs like perpetual motion machines, which claim to produce more energy than they consume. Okay, is that true? And then it says here, let's see what it says here. It says, again, the law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's that it's a closed system. The total energy remains constant. Therefore, true infinite energy is not achievable according to current scientific understanding. All right, it's just something to consider. I'm gonna keep bringing up certain topics of conversation, because like I said, I know I'm resonating. You ought to know that you're resonating as well. Okay, it's we at the end of the day. It's not me, I, or you. It's we. And our butterfly effect does affect the whole. Me on the West Coast affects the East, North, and South, but more so in a criminal negative form because we're interfering with each other's sources of energy. Whereas we are unconsciously transforming it prematurely. Whereas we are causing certain direct effects that are not only transforming us, morphing us, it's almost as if we are devolving instead of evolving, and we're causing ourselves to be unrecognizable human beings on the grand scale. Okay, so I'm going to stop there right now, take a little break and do some things, but trust me, I will be back.